Hi again, everybody. Craig Spivey with FullAccessSports.com, and now being joined by Glen Fowles, head man for the Willamette Bearcats, and Coach 4-0 after a tough road trip to Sewanee. And different culture, different atmosphere, different offense that you faced, huh?
Oh, absolutely. It was completely different. Long trip, a long way from home, and the whole thing about the trip was different. We had to leave on a Thursday because of flights, and the offense was different. The defense was similar to what Pacific does, but yeah, it was a challenging trip, and it's really good to be home.
Now you come away with a win, 28-24, come from behind win. And sometimes you look at those things as we know we can play from in front, but now we've showed that we can come from behind.
Yeah, and that's a tough team to come from behind on. The way that they control the ball offensively, they really, I was really impressed how they did things. They didn't make a ton of mistakes offensively. They kept putting first downs together. They were real productive on their first down plays. Fortunately for us, we made enough plays at the end, offensively and defensively, to come from behind, come from 10 points back, and win by 4. So, and ultimately, that's a testament to our guys. I mean, there's a chance when things get tight and in games like that, and the pressure's on and adversity sets, there's really two ways that you can go. And regardless of where we are and what situation we're at, what we try to focus on is the execution part of it. There's no situation or circumstance that can prevent you from doing your job on that play, and we really had to get back to that. And then we started putting some things together, and like you say, able to come out with a win, which is, again, I say this every week. It's better to learn from a win than it is from a loss, and as long as you can take that and move forward, we'll be okay.
Now, for the second week in a row, the Bearcats struggle a little bit running the ball as far as your yards per carry. And when you take a look at that, is it just a matter of execution at this point, or there's some other things you want to do better?
Oh, there's a lot of things. I mean, and execution is always the front side of things. And it's one of those that, Dylan, I think Dylan, averaged about 5 yards a carry is what I think he did. And so we were pretty productive with that guy. In certain situations, and sometimes it's a little skewed, and it's not a big stat thing, but there's definitely, as we took a look at the film, we made some mistakes that we shouldn't make, and we got to address that because Whitworth, their defense is more athletic than the Sewanee defense. They're good and they run to the ball real well. They're real disciplined, so it's some things that we have to fix this week in order to go in and compete well with Whitworth.
Oh, you mentioned Whitworth, and that's coming up, the first Northwest Conference game of the season. And, I know that you are very famous for keeping things on an even keel and not really, putting one game and more important than the other. But it's starting to conference play now. Do you feel it a little bit, ratchet up just a little bit because it is a Northwest Conference game and a very familiar foe?
I think our guys do because they're now in conference play, and I think that they're excited about the opportunity. But our job, as coaches, is to bring them back down because it really doesn't matter who we play. Hey, it's great. We play Whitworth at the start of the conference. I think they're 5-0 right now. So it's one of those that there should be excitement to play the game, but that can't take away from the focus of what we're doing execution-wise. Because once you do that, when will it stop? It's one day at a time, 1 week at a time, one game at a time, and it's great that it's Whitworth. It's great that the conference had to start sometime. So it's one of those that, it starts this week, and, hopefully, like you said, the guys are focused on not necessarily who we're playing, but how they're playing and what they're doing in practice to prepare for it. And if we can focus on that, we should be able to compete pretty well.
Well, and Willamette and Whitworth have had quite the rivalry. I think, 4 out of the last 6 games have been overtime games, including here last year. And that was a tough loss here last year on this field. And now you get to go up there and where it's even harder against Whitworth.
Yeah, it is, and they do a great job, on their field, protecting their turf. They really do. It's a grass field. They take pride in that. They, offensively, they do a lot of things that are going to stress the defense, and defensively, they run the ball real well and they're real disciplined. So, it's one of those that we can't get ahead of ourselves, knowing that we're playing a good opponent, and we really got to, and we say it every week, we really got to focus on our unforced errors, recognizing what they're doing on offense, reacting to what they do, and then, for us offensively, with what they do on defense, making sure that we're in the right place at the right time. And it's one of those that if we can avoid some unforced errors, we'll like you said, the opportunity to go up there and compete against a good team, it should be a heck of a game, and that's what we're really focused on is, limiting our unforced errors and recognizing stuff on the defensive side.
Now Whitworth is 5-0, but and you do have a common opponent. I mean, they played Pacific last week. You saw Pacific just a couple of weeks ago. Is there much that you can draw from that game, and looking at comparisons as to where you are as opposed to the Pirates?
Comparative scores really don't mean too much, because it's one of those things that wherever you're going, whatever game you're playing, it's really at that time, at that moment, and it's one of those. When you watch the Whitworth game, I think it was 28-25. It was a close game. It battled. Statistically, Whitworth was way ahead in a lot of categories. So it's one of those that, if you're the Whitworth guys, you're talking about, hey, the score could have been bigger. If you're the Pacific guys, you're talking about, hey, it was a battle if we make a couple plays, despite what the stats say, we're in the game to, we have an opportunity to win it. So the comparative game we don't really get into. The limit mistake game, that's really what we're more about, is limiting making fewer mistakes as we go.
So is that the key for this week as you go into this Whitworth game? Because we've been winning the turnover battle all season until Saturday. So it's like, okay, is this where, when you take a look at what you need to do to win up at Whitworth in a tough atmosphere, as you said, is it just limit mistakes? It's
always going to be limiting, unforced errors. Focusing on your responsibility and really attacking your responsibility. If you're convicted to your responsibility and you execute that, we're going to be okay. If we don't, it's going to be a long day. So that's really what we focus on. It's going to be that way all season. We got to make sure that we have conviction to our responsibility and go out and execute that. That's our job. So hopefully we do our job. It should be a heck of a game. So we're 4-0, they're 5-0, but as you like to say, we're 0-0 going in. Absolutely. We haven't won a game yet this week. So very good. The start of the Northwest Conference, the Pirates and the Bearcats coming up. For Glen Fowles, I'm Craig Spivey. Thanks for joining us on FullAccessSports.com.